Okay, here we go. Today we're going to look at, I'll post a couple of these videos for the kids that are taking the ACT, hopefully Saturday. Hopefully the snow will hold out, but this is from the practice test. And here was one that gave a lot of kids problems. If 2 raised to the n plus 1 equals 2m, what does 2 to the n plus 3 equal in terms of n? And because a lot of you guys have already seen this one, I think we will not pause the video and we'll just sort of get right into it. So this was actually the last question, which would mean they think it's fairly difficult, which it is. It is. The first things first, I think sometimes a lot of kids see this phrase, in terms of m, and that bothers them. I mean, essentially all it really means, as you can probably see, is that the answers will have m in it. So it doesn't mean set it equal to m. If it bothers you, quite honestly, as we've seen in a couple other videos, you can just sort of ignore it. I mean, so they're telling us if this is true, what's that? And from that we're supposed to get something with m's in it. So there's probably 2 ways you could do it. I'll go for the easier way and then I'll show you the harder way, second, so you have your choice. I think most kids, just about everyone, is going to have a real issue with this, doing this algebraically. So let's look at what it says. 2 to the n plus 1 equals 2m. Well, this is true. They're telling us this is absolutely true. I think the easiest thing to do here, especially because you see letters in the answer choices, is just make up 2 numbers, one for n and one for m, so that this expression is true. We'll make easy numbers. We'll just make n 2. Right? And if I put 2 here, well, 2 plus 1 is 3, right? So 2 to the 3rd is then 8. So now 8 equals 2m. And obviously now for this expression to read true, m just has to be 4. So now we have 2 numbers that fit this expression. So once we decide to go that route, now wherever we see an n, we're just going to put a 2. And wherever we see an m, which looks like the answer choices, we're just going to use 4. So now let's look at what it asks us. It says, what does 2 to the n plus 3 equal? Well, if I pop 2 in here, right, that's going to be 2 plus 3 is 5. So 2 to the 5th, if you don't know that off the top of your head, there are calculators, 32. Now one of these answers should be 32. All you really have to do now is just put 4 in for m, and the one that gives us 32 should do it. You could probably see fairly quickly, right? 8 times 4 is 32. And I think that's the best way to do it. Again, it doesn't matter what numbers you use as long as you make the expression true. The other way to do it, one concept that we probably don't do too much with in school is when we have exponents, that these tests like to test this sort of pull apart theory. I sort of just made that up. But what I'm going to try to do is rewrite the 2 to the n plus 3 power and somehow get a 2 to the n plus 1 in there. So, what I could do to rewrite this is I could take a 2 to the n plus 1 power out. I'm just going to factor it out. And then I would ask myself, well, 2 to the n plus 1 times what is going to give me 2 to the n plus 3? And, because we're multiplying and we have base 2, I know for sure I've got to have a base 2 in there. And I also know that when I multiply, right, the base stays the same, and all I really do is add my exponents. So I'm just going to ask myself, well, n plus 1 plus what is going to give me n plus 3? And I'm pretty sure we can figure out, right, that that's 2. And so now when we go back up and we see that 2 to the n plus 1 is 2m, right, this is 2m. I'm pretty sure we know what 2 to 2 squared is 4, right? 2m times 4 is 8m, which is your answer. I don't know, a lot of people are going to have trouble seeing that. No worries, just pop the numbers in there and you'll get it right regardless.